From the Huffington Post. Oh, they're really getting a kick out of this one. Trump suggests Biden take a drug test as allies continue attacks before debate. Quote, I would also immediately agree to one, the former president wrote in capital letters on his social media platform. So I just have a question for these leftists who are highlighting this. What's the counter? Donald Trump offers to take a drug test and asks that Joe Biden do the same. For what reason does Joe Biden say no?
Right. I think this is the weirdest thing. They're acting, they're going to say it's so disrespectful that he would even ask. But if in this case,
right.
What do you have to lose, right?
Yeah.
It could literally be nothing if you just said, yeah, sure, we'll do it.
We all know why. We all know why.
Joe Biden's going to be hepped up on goofballs. Okay? Like, there is not... Now, here's one. Okay? I made this point in the previous segment that if you go to Times Square, walk up to a random person and say, do you think... what if I told you the CIA staged a coup against the president, or against Trump? They'd say, yeah, get out of here. If you go to the average person in Times Square and say, do you think that Joe Biden takes some kind of psychoactive drug? They're going to be like, yes. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Or, right. To be fair, they might say no. And it's because if he was, he wouldn't be garbling nonsense. He'd actually be
hopefully he'd be a little better than, his shamanamana or whatever he said.
Shamanamana, but perhaps Biden's...
Bumbling, stumbling.
Yeah, perhaps Biden's brain is so bad the stimulants aren't working anymore.
I think the other problem is if he had to do a drug test and it was evaluated by a third neutral party, it might reveal that he's on some medication that they have hidden from the American public because he's a medical condition that they're hiding. I'm
spitballing
here. Don't come for me, CNN. But
they haven't revealed any medication, though, that he's on,
right.
really.
I mean, they always hide his health report. They always say he's fine. But,
look,
I just think that would be the real concern. Like, yes, I bet he is, likelihood is theoretically there is a stimulant before the debate, but also what else is in his system that they wouldn't want to be disclosed.
Right.
Yeah.
He's going to have the cocktail that guy is on is going to be
and the reason he's at Camp David this week, focused only on this, is because they're having to change his sleep cycle and whatnot to get him to where,
you can pull it closer.
He's at full performance, right?
No, right. He's probably in bed until 6 p.m.
Right.
Or maybe even 7. And the debate's at 9. So they wake him up at 7. They get him cleaned up. And then he's got his hour. He's got his good hour. That's about it. And how long is the debate going for? Do we know?
I think it's probably 2 hours. I'll double check.
No, I don't think it's. I think it's maybe an hour.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be 2 hours. Biden can't handle that.
No way.
Yeah. No.
I feel like they're typically 90 minutes, but I wouldn't be surprised if they agreed to.
I bet they do crazy stuff. I bet they red light therapy and laser blast him, IV NAD vitamins and stimulants, and then they blue light blast him afterwards.
I mean, I don't imagine that they're not going to be giving him something to stimulate him a little bit. Give him a little bit. Extra. I'm trying to be gentle here.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have some kind of electrodes hooked up to his back that just run a current through his body. No, I'm kidding, by the way, but it is true that if you run a light current through the brain, it actually improves cognitive function.
Really?
Yeah, they've done these studies where they do low-level currents through the brain and recall and was just better, solved math problems faster. They're going to have this guy. I wouldn't be surprised if someone notices a cable running down his pants out of the room, or an IV drip into his back or something.
Look, I think Trump should be very kind to him and treat him like granddaddy or something. Here, Joe, can I get that chair for you? Or
yeah.
Do you need me to speak up, Joe? Can you hear me?
Are you feeling okay?
Yes. Just, be like you would treat an elderly grandparent.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that's what President Trump should do. And just, put it on full display.
And when it comes to, I was saying this the other day, when Joe Biden mutters, Trump absolutely every time must ask for clarification.
Right.
So when Joe Biden goes, Trump should say, when they say, Trump, how do you respond? I'm sorry, could Joe repeat that? I did not make out what he was saying. Because the people at home watching on their Timcast IRL commentary show, or on CNN, wherever you may be, are going to be thinking that. They're going to think, I have no idea what he just said. And if Trump... So if they say to Joe Biden, what's your immigration plan? And Biden says, we got to get it on the border. If they say, okay, and Trump, what's your answer? And Trump just starts talking, people will forget that Biden didn't give an answer.
Right.
Because they're going to shift their attention immediately. If Trump says, I'm sorry, I couldn't quite make out what Joe had said. Joe, would you mind repeating that one more time? Then it shifts the focus onto Biden can't talk. Right. And get this. If Trump does that at the slightest pin drop of a mutterance of gibberish, the news reports the next day are going to be Donald Trump had to ask Joe Biden 50 times to speak clearly because he kept gibbering.
Right.
I also think it'd be powerful to see a clip, and I'm just spitballing here, but could kick her if he says, could Biden please explain whatever he just said? I couldn't understand. I need clarification. If one of the moderators like, well, the president clearly said that we need to continue our support for Ukraine in this difficult, like if they are aware of how the president was answering, that would be pretty fascinating, right? That clip is kind of damning in and of itself because it means that they are aware of the talking points that the Biden team is ready to present.
You know what the media is going to say on like Huffington Post? They're going to say, Trump is so old and out of it, he couldn't understand what was going on.
Yeah, I know.
And the moderators are going to be in on it, and the media is going to translate for Biden.
One thing I do think Trump needs to do is ask Joe about the story that it was Russian collusion. Hunters, remember at the last debate where, that's Russian collusion, Russian disinformation. There's nothing to it. I think that Trump needs to call him out and ask him about it now and see if he still stands by it.
I don't know. I think that's the trap.
You do?
Yeah, because Biden's going to try and go there to get Trump to start talking about things that don't matter to the American people. And Trump needs to just respond with, Joe, I don't know what you're talking about. Bread costs $7, okay? Eggs cost $7. Milk costs $5. The American people need to know how they're paying for their groceries and how they're going to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich, not whatever you're talking about with Russia.
Yep.
I mean, I can see where you're coming from, but I do think he needs to, now that the laptop was entered into evidence in the courtroom, I mean, it's been proven that it's true, and Biden stood up there and lied to the American people. Are you still going to stand by that, Joe?
But see, Trump's base doesn't need to hear it. Trump's detractors, there's two groups that know about the laptop, and that is the people who hate Trump and the people who like Trump. The people who like Trump never trusted it in the first place and know Trump's right. People in the middle aren't going to be swayed by a conversation about Russia, but the opportunity will be. For that normie dude or lady is when Joe Biden says something about Russia or whatever, Trump can say, what is this Russia stuff, right? The American people can't afford gas right now. You at home right now know your gas, and this guy's obsessed with Russia.
Right.
Then they're going to go, yeah, I want cheap gas. And Trump's going to be like, I'll get you cheaper gas. He'll complain about Russia.
And he's kind of obsessed with Russia, right? I mean,
oh, yeah.
Apparently we're several $1 billion into helping Ukraine fight Russia because Biden thought it was a good idea.
That's a tremendous segue for Trump.
Actually, he should bring that. He should say that.
Call me President Trump. I'll help you prep.
Right. He needs to say on the debate, if you vote for Joe Biden, you know what he's going to do? He's going to be obsessed with Russia.
He's going to send more of your money to Russia.
More of your money to Ukraine. And why?
Ukraine.
For what reason? If you vote for Donald Trump, we will keep your money here. We will put it back into the economy for you, for infrastructure, and we'll stop the war with Russia. That's your money being wasted for what? Can any of, and I would say this, I would ask, this was really great in the Republican primary debates. Who was it? Vivek asked Nikki Haley to name 3 oblasts in Ukraine, and she's like, "Brr." And then later on, she's like, Kharkiv, and then she started naming them.
It's like someone fed it to her.
Right. Yep. They're like looking at her in the audience going like, Kharkiv.
It wasn't good, though. Because at that point, you kind of just got to walk it off. Like, you couldn't name it in the moment to be like, and actually 5 minutes later, I have thought of them. Like, I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if that was your moment.
Yeah, let it go.
Yeah. It is. I think the debate's going to be really interesting because, and again, I have sort of a cynical attitude toward debates. They don't necessarily really give us some intelligent, like well thought out, how do we actually solve crisis? It's definitely about seeing them go head to head. But in this case, because it's an unusual rematch, once again, we're getting Biden and Trump, except now Biden is the incumbent, so to speak, and Trump is the outsider. They are going to have that same tension on display, except again, it's Biden who should really have to answer for the state of America. When it was last time when there was more stuff with COVID or whatever else had gone on, I felt like it was Trump having to explain his legacy. But now I think American people know that Biden has put the country in a very perilous position internationally and domestically.
Right.
And
in a tailspin.
Really, we can't have anyone get distracted over, Trump's convictions or anything else. We just have to talk about what's actually going on.
Yeah, I do think Trump needs to focus on his record and, compare. I mean, that question, who said it? were you better off 4 years ago than you are today? You know, and people need to be reminded. We did these things, Women for Trump, back in the 2020 campaign, promises made, promises kept. And this is a list of things that, you know, that he did in that administration. And people need to be reminded about that.
My question is, because I haven't seen a list of the rules, but they're not going to allow questions of each other, I'm imagining.
I don't think so, no.
Because certainly Joe Biden will bring up abortion. I think there's two plays on this one. Trump could go full swing to the right, just saying, we did it, we won, we got Roe v. Wade overturned. I wonder if the better play is for Trump to say, abortion? Now, look, it's a big issue. I know people are concerned about. But people are concerned about how they can get gas and milk and bread and eggs and pay their rent. Young people who can't afford to buy homes, start families. And you're sitting up here talking about abortions? We can figure that one out together in this country, but we need to figure out how to get young people to buy homes, the elderly to get their Social Security paid for, to make sure they have access to proper medical treatments, not whatever it is you're talking about.
It's interesting, too, because he could really dovetail into these issues from abortion really easily. I mean, one of the things that I saw, I was watching I think it was MSNBC, interview women who were apparently impacted by, you know, abortion restrictions in Texas. And they were like, this woman couldn't afford to travel out of state. Well, why can't she afford to travel out of state? Because Biden's economy is so bad.
Right.
You know, this woman, whatever, like all of it ultimately dovetails back to the fact that like everyone's lives are extremely difficult because of the economic position Biden has put us in.
Right. Women are not. They're focused on how to put a roof over their head, feed their children. They don't want to be living out of a car with their children, right? You know, they want to make sure their children have health care. They're not worried about abortions when their lives are falling apart right now and they can't even afford the place they're living. But that is what they're going to push. Tim, you're absolutely right. If you watch MSNBC, for days it's been all about Roe v. Wade because it's a 2-year. That is all they're talking about. I think they are going to go there. I think Biden will go there, but I also think Biden's going to go after Trump on J6. I think that's another thing he's going to go after Trump on.
I feel like, I hope he does. I hope Joe Biden tries the Russia, the J6, the convicted felon, and I hope Trump responds every time with, here we go again with the weird political back and forth. I don't care about any of that. I'm here to get to work for the American people. If Trump can stick to that and Biden keeps trying to throw bait, the average normie is going to be like, I don't know what that is. Like, Trump's a felon? Like, I don't know, man. I couldn't buy gas today. And if Trump addresses that, they're going to be like, I want that guy in. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.